Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now here in this hand, the Thrunite T1, which I have carried at great length, and unfortunately it's been dropped, it's been beat up, it's been put through the ringer, has a little bit of damage on it, but at the same time just a good quality workhorse. This has been a wonderful EDC option for me. But now in this hand, the T1S, so the next iteration of Thrunite's T1 line. Just an upgrade to the T1 with the T1S. So how do these compare? How is this going to perform? What are the differences? And is this going to be a great option for my everyday carry needs? Just like the T1? Well, the only way to figure that out is to get into this. So with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Thrunite who did provide these products for review. Now again, here the Thrunite T1, which for me has been a wonderful EDC option. With 1500 lumens, a rechargeable CR123 in this small little package. Magnetic tail cap, excellent quality, great clip. Just another Thrunite product that meets my expectations for quality. It's absolutely wonderful. But what about the T1S? So I have not yet as much as even opened this up. I mean, here you can see just removing this rubber band for the first time and getting into this. Let's take a look at this in detail. And so like most Thrunite products, here you can see in the box, comes with your little sort of warning here, and it's telling you to screw down the head of the light and the tail cap before your first use. So they generally ship these just a little bit loose to prevent the battery from making contact, but here, the Thrunite T1S. Now let's get this real quick. Throw it up beside the T1. Here you can see pretty much just about the same exact size. And in fact, at a quick glimpse, the only thing that looks different, the color of the bezel, being black versus sort of that silver color, and then a little bit of the fabrication details and some of the knurling and sort of how that's constructed. But at a quick glimpse, looking very similar. Continuing through the packaging here, a small lanyard, charging cable, a clip, and your informational pamphlet. So getting the packaging, we'll slide this aside for now. Typical box, very similar to all other Thrunite products. And one thing you will notice as we spin this around, this does have either a black option, a metal gray option, cool white, or neutral white, and I do have the black with the cool white. So I typically could go neutral white and it's a little bit warmer, but for a small light, I do kind of like the cool white option. We'll compare both of these. To be honest, I kind of forget what I have with the original T1, but taking a look at the T1S, just again, making sure we take a look at this, making sure that it's ready to go. Here, the battery. This is an 1100 milliamp hour 18350, which is very close to a CR123. As we get the T1, it was literally the exact same battery. So both of these leveraging the same Thrunite battery. Now again, the T1S being in what I would call the CR123 size class. But to be specific, Thrunite does leverage the 18350 battery, which is actually a little bit bigger than the CR123. It's bigger in diameter, it's actually longer. So it is a larger battery, has more output, a little bit larger, and different voltage overall, which is a good thing because the performance is excellent. Now, as we thread the head on, nice quality threads, always well done with Thrunite, nicely machined, gasketed. They come oiled up and ready to go. Single press here, just taking a look, there you go. So a nice even beam. And you can see the original T1 was the neutral, so you can see how warm that light is, and especially as we compare them side by side. Here you can see the original T1. Here you can see the T1S. So that's the difference between sort of that neutral and the cool white. you can see just how much cooler and almost brighter in a way the cool white does appear to be. Which is kind of funny because the original T1 was 1500 lumens. The T1S is really 1200 and change. So 1212 lumens. And that is at the maximum output. So as we go through this, you can see nicely machined, everything very well done. The interesting change too, well, they are listening this now going to a USB Type-C connector, which on the original T1 was a micro USB, but it's nice that now they are making that adjustment to the USB Type-C. So very nice. Same sort of cover here, keeping it protected. Now, looking at the lens, this is another place where there's a bit of a difference. You can see here it has sort of a pattern on the lens, which is going to help to diffuse the light, versus on the original T1, which you can see my lens is actually cracked on the exterior glass. But on the inside, on the reflector, the original T1 was more of an orange peel. Here on the T1S, really a different type of LED lens and sort of diffusing the light in a different means. Now as we scroll between the modes, a long press, this is going to be your Firefly mode. So Firefly at 0.5 lumens, this will run for 27 days. Single press to low, this is 7 lumens. The 7 lumen low mode will run for 44 hours. Long press, this is the medium mode. Medium at 94 lumens, this will run for 5.5 hours. Another long press, well, this is where Thrunite has been changing their modes from model to model. As you notice, it took me a while to go between medium and high. So again, if I single press and turn the light on, long press to medium, and if I wait too long and I want to go to high, and now I long press, well, now it goes back to that low mode. This is what Thrunite has been doing lately. I don't know if I like that. Let's compare that against the original T1. The original T1, if I single press, that's going to be the low mode. Long press, and the way they did it was basically with ramping. So this one was sort of a hybrid where if you long press, it'll go up, get off of it, long press, it'll go back down, long press, it'll go back up. To me, either way, I mean, what I would really like is for this just to simply go up through the modes and then start over at the low mode and then go up through the modes again. So if I want to get to that high mode, I need to work quickly. So turning the light on, long press, now this is the high mode. High mode being 407 lumens, this will run for 80 minutes. Double press. This is the full turbo mode. This is 1212 lumens. This will run at this for 5 minutes, and then it'll go down to 317 lumens and run for another 70 minutes. Now the total intensity of the beam, or in other words, candela, the total candela in the turbo mode is 8,460 candela at 184 meter maximum distance. So generally speaking, pretty good punch. Now, the 8,460 candela, definitely decent and really good considering how small this flashlight is. Now, for me personally, this is definitely going to be a nice EDC option. So I am going to put the clip right on here right away, because this is definitely going to be a pocket carry for me. So sliding that into place, I might cant it to one side a little bit. See how that feels. That's going to be pretty nice. Allows me to get on the battery there fairly comfortable, indexing nicely in my hands. And as I slide this down into my pocket, that means as I grab the flashlight kind of naturally, my thumb will fall right on that button. So very nice. And just to confirm, this is a magnetic tail cap. So as we look at it here, there you go. Magnetic tail cap, no problem. So that works out very well. That is a great feature on this flashlight. On the T1, it was magnificent. On the T1S, that's a big deal. So having that magnetic tail cap, absolutely fantastic. And so as we get into the charging here, exposing the port, again, a USB Type-C. We're going to plug that in. And looking at the indicator here, it's subtle and probably hard for you to see, but it is turning red. When this is fully charged, it will turn blue. And when you run the light, you'll see there is a blue indicator. When the light is blue, it is at 100 to 21%. When it turns red, it's at 20 to 11%. And when it flashes red, it's at 10% or 1% capacity. Now, if there is no light at all, Well, that's because the battery's dead and it will be at 0%. And so at this point, let's get it outside for some beam shots. Now out here, getting ready to take a look at some beam shots. Keep in mind that lumen output is only half the story. So here, the original T1, well, as we look at the T1 had 1500 lumens. This is that turbo mode. You can see the beam all the way out to my fence line, shining a little bit on the neighbor's house there. Well, the T1S, only 1212 lumens, double pressing. Well, here you can see seemingly much brighter. In fact, you go from 2600 candela to over 8000 candela. And again, candela being punch at distance. So higher lumen output here at 1500 lumens, much brighter, tighter beam, much higher candela with the T1S. So again, this is 1212 lumens at the turbo mode. Long press here, taking a look at the Firefly mode. That's going to be enough to be able to do some general reading, but it does not have much in the way of throw. Turning the light off and then a single press. Here we're going to go between the modes. So as we long press here, low, medium, high, low, medium, high. The low mode, at this time where it's not completely dark, you can see a little bit of the beam pattern, especially if I shine it off the side of my fence here, out in front of you just a little bit. That will be a good amount of light for general camp tasks, but not a ton in terms of navigation. But a long press here, the medium mode, that's going to be your basic mode for most, I would say, getting around camp, your navigation. Maybe if you're using this as an EDC light, you know, this is what you're using to get around your property. Now again, if I long press, it's going to go back to that low mode. As you can see, long press, holding it down. Now that's that high mode. The high mode, that's going to be the bulk of sort of looking around at distance, doing a little bit of kind of investigation. But if you need a little more punch, quick double press, well then your turbo mode, that's really starting to light things up. Now of course, a triple press, that's going to be your specialty strobe. And off. Now again, both the T1 on the left and the T1S on the right in the low mode. So not the moonlight, but the low mode. And you can see on the left, the T1, how warm that is. That is actually the neutral white. On the right, with the T1S, that is the cool white. And the other thing you can see is the vast difference in the beam. The T1S now leveraging a new reflector, a nice high quality LED, tightening up the beam, getting a little more spot versus flood, and that's where that candela comes into play. So you can see how much punchier the light is on the T1S, even though it has less lumen output. So again, 1500 lumen capability in the turbo mode for the T1, and 1212 lumen capability on the turbo mode for the T1S. But again, the T1S just having a lot more punch and that increased higher candela. So alright guys, there you have it, a look at the Thrunite T1S, and more specifically compared against the T1. Now, for all of you who are watching, I think that's important so that you realize, well, maybe you already had the T1 and you're like, well, why would I need the T1S? Or maybe you're somebody looking at the T1S for the first time and you've bumped into information on the T1 and you're like, what the heck? I thought this was supposed to be the newer light. I thought it was supposed to be an upgrade. How do you go from 1500 lumens to 1212 lumens and call that an upgrade? Well, keep it in mind. At the end of the day, technology is evolving. It's getting more efficient. You end up with nicer LEDs, a nicer beam pattern, great quality battery. Either way you go, pretty much the same, but it's the efficiency. Better run times, better overall candela. That's the key, the candela. Now, maybe you do like the overall flood capability of the original T1. I'll give you that. But at the same time, still plenty capable flood, yet a nice spot where you need it. So for an EDC flashlight, the T1S to me, definitely going in the right direction. I loved the T1 in the first place, but the T1S stepping it up a notch. So for the people at Thrunite, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to take a look at this and compare it against the original. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. On that channel, I have a number of videos at this point, and it is growing very fast. So if you like Outer Limitless, do me a favor, check out Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.